set. I can't stop hustling every minute, every second. Can't stop.
Jay White's loser leaves Japan match. Randy Orton returning soon? Question mark? And a new documentary for a former WWE star who became homeless. This and more on a brand new episode of A Shot of Brew. Hey, what's going on, party people? I'm back and I'm feeling better. You know, this your bro, Yellaboi, and I'm here from Bros, Brews, and Botches with another episode of A Shot of Brew, where we bring you a shot of news from the wrestling world this week. And I know by the time that this thing goes up, you've probably watched the big game, and either you're on your highest high or your lowest low. But regardless, I'm here like always, bringing the news to the people. You people. But before we get going, make sure you like, share, and subscribe, and click that notification bell in order to keep up with all that the bros are doing. But without further ado, let's get to the news. What is the future of Jay White after his loser leaves Japan match? So y'all, this weekend, Switchblade Jay White had his loser leaves Japan match against his former Bullet Club stablemate Hikuleo at NJPW The New Beginning on Saturday morning. Now, unfortunately, after taking a choke slam from the big man, White was pinned. Now, while the stipulation would seem that White's run in New Japan is complete, he does have one more match with the promotion that technically holds his stip to the truth. White has a match on February 18th at Battle in the Valley against AEW's Eddie Kingston in San Jose, California. Now, it was reported that White's contract is up soon and he is expected to leave New Japan Pro Wrestling. Now, reports also say that both AEW and WWE are interested in signing White, with WWE confident in their ability to sign him. It is reported by WrestlingNews.co that re-signing with New Japan Pro Wrestling is always a possibility. So, as always, when we find out here, you'll find out there. Now, from a possible new WWE signing to a possible WWE return, there's been speculation that the Viper, Randy Orton, may return to in-ring action soon. Now, Orton has not wrestled since May of last year and underwent lower back fusion surgery last November. Now, there's deep concern regarding his future in the business among those in the WWE. Now, while there has not been any update on the status of the Viper, in addition to a picture that was floated around in the internet, there's been a response to a Facebook story by wrestling bootmaker Jose G. Stance. It reported that Orton recently contacted him about making boots for a return. Now, in this response, Stance wrote, quote, "I haven't made them yet, but Randy Orton contacted me via email for his return. Currently, Drew McIntyre and Bray Wyatt are some of the biggest superstars. Today I received an order for boots for Cody for WrestleMania," end quote. Now, whether or not Orton will be ready for a return by Mania is going to be yet to be seen. But, of course, just like always, the bro's going to keep you in the loop and let you know if Randy Orton, the Viper, is going to strike. Now, from a wrestler making the wrestling comeback to a former WWE superstar making a comeback in his personal life, the performer best known as the personal ring announcer to Alberto Del Rio, Ricardo Rodriguez, has struggled with his battles against alcoholism. Very well documented. Now, after celebrating a year of sobriety in 2021, he relapsed back in March of 2022. Now, shortly afterwards, Rodriguez sought out more treatment at rehab. Now, Rodriguez announced during some addiction events that a documentary is in the works to chronicle his journey. The documentary, called Wrestling with Recovery, the Jesus Ricardo Rodriguez story, would cover his journey from getting out of rehab to living in a recovery home, to dealing with homelessness, to building Three Legacies Wrestling, to getting his life back together. Now, the project is being produced by Bobaconda Productions and will be released later in this year. Now, segueing from a real life fall from grace to an on-screen one, there is backstage news on the split between Baron Corbin and JBL. Now, if you watched this past week on Raw, you would have seen the split between the modern day wrestling god, or the new modern day wrestling god, and old John Bradshaw Layfield. Now, while speaking on the Wrestling Observer radio show, good old Uncle Dave Meltzer provided more detail on the split, saying, quote, "They gave up on it. Obviously, this wasn't the plan. The guy in charge, that's Paul, or Triple H for those in the know, felt it wasn't working and that was it. Where they go with Corbin, I don't know. It felt very much like a burial for Corbin. He's had so many gimmick changes. There's nothing wrong or right with him, but in the pantheon of stars, he's just not at the top star level, and they gave him every chance to be at that level. He's just a guy. A tall guy, but he's just a guy," end quote. So we're gonna have to keep our eye out for a possible new gimmick change for Corbin. Now, if you ask me personally, I like to see the lone wolf gimmick return, but who's to say? So we'll keep an eye out on that. Now, that today is the news. And since there's the big game going on, I have only 4 stories instead of 5, so that you guys can nurse whatever you got going on if you watch the big game. But just like last week and every week in February, we will have another Black History Month spotlight at the conclusion of this video, so keep watching. But before we go, make sure that you hit that like and leave a comment to help the algorithm and spread the good word of the bros and help us on our way to 1K subscribers. Also, if you haven't already, get that B3 merch from the link in the description below. Very special thanks to Elevated Creations for the merch. Also, special shout out to DJ L Spade for the music in the intro, and that's been subtly throughout the episode. And to all of those who watched the big game, because you know I can't say those other 2 words or else I get copyrighted. I hope you enjoy the game and that halftime show with Riri hitting all her greatest hits and all the people that was dancing in the air and all that stuff. All that. Hope you enjoyed it. To everyone else who didn't watch the game, I hope you enjoyed your weekend. So, I want to say thanks to you all for watching. As always, we love you. Happy Big Game Day. Happy Valentine's Day. Happy Black History Month. Make sure you're checking all the links in the description. And hang on after I leave for the Black History Month spotlight. But otherwise, until next time, we out.
Bros, Brews, and Botches celebrates Black History Month. Miss Jackie. Jacqueline Dolores Moore was born January 6, 1964 in Dallas, Texas. She was trained by General Skandar Akbar. Moore, being from the Texas area, her favorite wrestlers were the Von Erichs. She enjoyed their wrestling style. Miss Jackie was also regularly involved in kickboxing, boxing, and holds a black belt in Taekwondo. As a teenager, she noticed an ad in her local TV guide for wrestling tryouts in downtown Dallas. It was at this tryout that she met her trainer, Skandar Akbar. Once getting through the tryout, Moore was the only woman in Akbar's school. She made her wrestling debut for World Class Championship Wrestling in 1988 under the name Sweet Georgia Brown. During this time, Moore wrestled in Japan for Frontier Martial Arts Wrestling, Ladies Professional Wrestling Association, and Women's Pro Wrestling. After returning to the U.S., Moore wrestled for the United States Wrestling Association out of Memphis, Tennessee. Moore was the first ever USWA Women's Champion, winning the newly created title in a tournament on March 2nd, 1992. Moore held the title 8 times and became the first woman to be included in the PWI's 500. Moore was scheduled to debut in the World Wrestling Federation under the name Winona as a manager for Jeff Jarrett in 1993, but due to injury was unable to perform. In 1995, Moore had a short stint in Smoky Mountain Wrestling under the name Sergeant Rock, but unfortunately, the promotion closed its doors for good in November of the same year. In 1997, Moore was contacted by World Championship Wrestling after she submitted multiple pictures to the promotion. Moore debuted as a manager for Kelvin Sullivan, where she was involved in his feud with Chris Benoit and Woman. While in WCW, she was also a manager for Harlem Heat. In 1998, Moore returned to the World Wrestling Federation as an on-screen girlfriend of Mark Merrow. Later, she became involved in a feud with Sable. In September of 1998, Moore won the revived WWF Women's Championship, becoming the first black women's champion. Moore was a 2-time women's champion. In May of 2004, Moore won the WWE Cruiserweight Championship after Chavo Guerrero issued an open challenge. She lost the title back to Chavo at Judgment Day and was released soon after by the WWE. However, she did make sporadic returns in later years to the WWE, including a Women's Royal Rumble. Moore worked some more indie shows before returning to Total Nonstop Action at their Victory Road pay-per-view November 7, 2004. Moore would return for a full-time run in TNA in 2007, joining forces with James Storm as she attacked Gail Kim. Moore competed in a multitude of matches and managed Beer Money before converting to a backstage agent. She did return to in-ring action in 2009, shortly, but parted ways with TNA the same year. Moore, however, returned again to TNA in 2011 and made her last in-ring match ever in TNA, competing against ODB at Hardcore Justice 2 in 2013. Moore has been an inspiration for many women's wrestlers of today and has been named an MVP that rarely gets talked about. Jackie Moore was inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame in 2016. It was there that Bubba Ray Dudley stated that, quote, being one of the guys, end quote, is one of the most highest compliments one can achieve in the business, as Miss Jackie would forever be, quote, one of the guys, end quote, due to her willingness in the business. Currently, Jackie seems to be enjoying her retirement as she still makes appearances, but can be seen through her social media spending time hiking and having fun with family and friends. Miss Jackie was a pioneer in not only women's wrestling, but in the wrestling industry as a whole. Her ability and willingness to take on competitors, male and female, in a male-driven business and succeed as she did is a testament to her toughness and drive for the business. It is because of these contributions that we here at Bros, Brews, and Botches acknowledge Jacqueline Moore.